Welcome to English with Leanne. Today's idiom is to be racked with guilt. And to be racked with guilt, this means to have guilt, to feel bad about something, but just to feel horrible about it. You feel so bad and you can't forget, and you just keep thinking about it, and you keep thinking about it, and you feel so bad about it. So to be racked with guilt has a bit of a fun origin just in the verb to rack. You'll notice I've put it with the W in parentheses. That is because we can write it to rack or to rack. And there's a lot of discussion about the history of this verb and how are we supposed to write it. Now the first one here, to rack, without the W, this one comes from the old Dutch word meaning to stretch. And if you think about old, the Middle Ages when they would torture someone and they would use the rack, that was the machine that they would put someone on to stretch them in separate directions and cause them a lot of pain. So that was the rack. And so to rack without a W means to stretch, to torture, or to cause stress. Whew. But the other to rack with a W comes from Old English, which comes from the word shipwreck. So when something was shipwrecked, it was destroyed, right? So if you are destroyed and you're just like, oh, everything's over, it's ruined, that would be more of the rack with a W. So as I said, we have this idiom, racked with guilt, both with and without the W. Today, both are in usage. We use both of them, with and without the W. And in both cases, if you think about you're being stretched by your guilt or you're being tortured by your guilt, without the W. Or are you being destroyed by your guilt with the W? So that's some fun history about the verb to rack and then to rack with guilt. And so when we use this, think about maybe you pushed your brother and he fell and he broke his arm. Now, you didn't mean to break his arm, but you did cause it. You might be racked with guilt, especially if over time his arm doesn't get better, right? It's always just not quite right. You might be racked with guilt for the rest of your life. Or maybe you forgot to do something at work and someone else got fired for your mistake. You might be racked with guilt. And you might tell someone, hey, oh my gosh, I need to tell you what I did. I have been racked with guilt for months. Here's what I did. And then you tell them. And you're telling them that this guilt, it's just, oh my gosh, it's horrible. I just feel awful and I can't forget it. So that's what it means to be racked with guilt. Hopefully you don't need to use this idiom. I don't want to hear that you're racked with guilt, but now you know what it means. Good luck.